Peace. What's the deal, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well tonight. This is another weird weather night because actually it's cold. Then got chilly out here. Yeah, I done came outside to get some air. It's chilly out this joint. You know what I mean? Well, my hair is wet, but yeah, I just want to talk about a little conversation I had with a good friend, an old friend of mine, my man JP. One of the brothers I grew up with, from my neighborhood. We had a real good convo. We were just talking about a lot of different stuff. Predominantly talking about Islam, but we were talking about the nature of the people, like in general, just like different types of people and different groups of people inside of the people. You know what I'm saying? But the same thing we were speaking about the Islamic community pertains to the whole community actually. We're dealing with our people over here. Especially with how religious rules, how we adhere to them on different levels, and just how certain things manifest through people with the levels. It's different levels. Just like different levels of obedience, different levels of desire for the truth. Inside of the religion, and it pertains to everything. And we really were just going back and forth, just talking about these issues, and I really came to he helped me through our conversation. He helped me understand something that I didn't never really think about, because we were just talking about different groups. We had mentioning. We actually started talking about Minister Farrakhan, and I was like, well, I always I love Minister Farrakhan, you know what I mean, and I always post different things him saying, we started talking about him. We really started talking about him first, and I mentioned the fact that because a lot of us don't understand how people change inside of religion, and how people that have leadership roles, they change also. You know what I mean? But the burden, when you are dealing with the burden of leadership, meaning someone like Minister Farrakhan, he has the burden of leadership, meaning he leads a large group of people, based on a certain belief system, or a certain way of doing things, etc. So I don't care what your belief system is or your group is. Most of these systems have set rules and a set way of looking at things, etc. But getting back to what I meant about the burden of leadership, and I really came to the defense of him and others like him, because I include myself in that, and saying that when you have the burden of leadership, you have to understand, even though you may have experienced some growth, some spiritual growth, some intellectual growth, the people that you're in charge of cannot handle the new level. And now, if I wanted to sit here and say that I know exactly how to handle that particular situation, I would be lying, and yeah, I would be lying. But I can only speak on how I handled it, because inside of the conversation with him, I said, look, man, we all actually have the same burden that Minister Farrakhan has. Is just on a lower level, on a smaller level. Well, it's not lower, it's smaller. Meaning, like, everybody who has a family has the burden of leadership, on their family. So if you bring your kid up Christian and all of that and this, that, and the third, and then all of a sudden you may find out it's a lot of contradictions or whatever you might think are contradictions or whatever inside of it. Okay, if you give this information to your family members, how are they going to perceive you, or how are they going to perceive it? How are they going to perceive the information? Make a long story short, because the truth is the truth, regardless. But how are they going to perceive the information? Now, when you're dealing with people, let's say you're in charge of a group of people, that everybody inside your group is not on the same level. They don't got the same amount of faith, same amount of intellect, the same amount of desire for truth, etc. So if you were to inform everybody in the group the same way, then it could hurt some. The burden of leadership has to think. You have to think about these things because let's say Ms. Farrakhan got a group of people that he leads, and whatever, not whatever, but some of these people might have had serious problems before they entered the belief system. Could have been drug addicts, could have been killers, could have been whatever, just any number of negative things before they went to the belief system. And I know he knows that if he advises the bulk of the group a certain way, maybe informing them that he has changed certain beliefs and opinions or whatever, I'm just gonna call it that, then it could hurt the group or hurt these individuals. It could hurt them because maybe in their ignorance, they'll feel let down or betrayed, any number of things, because once people get into a system and they have this kind of belief in themselves, who knows how it really is, how it's manifesting with them. So if you understand if you follow what I'm saying, it could just go a lot of different ways. So with the burden of leadership, you have to think about these things before. Well, you just have to think about these things while you calling the people to something. And like I said, I can only really speak on how I was able to deal with it. Because this is what held me back from bringing the light, my new understanding of things, and because I was all worried about how my children would take, because I was a serious, I was always a serious person, but I can remember my speech being very very extreme with certain views with certain things, you know what I mean? So I know certain ones of my children, I know that for me, they start saying something different, it would affect them in it would just affect them in a real hard kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of just held me back for a long time, due to that. But lucky for me, like I might have said in my last video, things just have went way left with a lot of family members. So I'm not really worrying about that no more. Plus, the cat out the bag anyway. I'm a free thinker. I got my own mind. And etc. However you want to take it. But that was we kind of started off talking about the minister. But then we started talking about 5%ers. Moors, because that's really who we came into contact with in our younger years, prior to us becoming what you call Sunni Muslims. And I always liked everything. I always liked all the stuff. I liked everything. Well, liked it, loved it, whatever you want to say. I really always was feeling it. And we came. When I say we, I came to the complete conclusion that a lot of the stuff that I had gotten to a point where so I was like, oh man, that stuff, man, them brothers talking this, man, it's crazy, it's this, it's that, and it's this, that, and the third. Whether it be the 5%, the Nation of Islam, Moors. I didn't know as much about the Moors back then as I do now, but I'm just saying I am a Moor, 100. But what I'm saying is back then I didn't know a lot about Moors, and I knew about Noble Drew Ali, etc. But let me get back before I learn how to speak. But the thing is, as I grew in life and also inside of the Islamic religion and acquiring knowledge, I realized that a lot of the things that was being said by the 5%ers and some of the teachings from the Nation of Islam were in fact the truth. You know what I'm saying? So, and then my brother who I was conversating with, and he was like, well, like it's levels, right? And I was like, yeah, you're right. We live and we learn, and we come up in certain levels. And I said, and this when I came to this realization, and I said, wow, you know what, man? I said, when I really think about it, you know what I'm saying? I look at when I came into more science, like even with the 360 thing and things going full circle. I said, kind of like it's really not even like a level. It's really like a journey, like, so doing that 360, because it seems like I went on a journey on a 360 and came back around and found the same stuff that I had found back when I was a teenager, but didn't have proper guidance to get into it. I was guided towards something else, which is also the truth, but with stuff taken away from it or changed and stuff like that. So the 360 that I did, I come back around and I did, that's my 360. That is what I'm trying to say, is I made that 360 and came back around into the same stuff that I had at the very beginning. So like I said, I'm a little bit of everything, because it's impossible for me not to be a little bit of everything, because I know enough to be able to weigh all of the statements and even the actions that are advised and ordered through these belief systems and stuff like that, to be able to understand what is right and what is wrong for me. And and that's what I've come to know. And and everybody ain't the same. We also spoke about that, because me and him were saying to each other, like even though we have similar origins, similar lots of the same things happen to us in life, but we don't have the same experiences, because we're two different people. He, him, I'm me. You know what I mean? So and how we deduce, or how we take information, understand it, how we deduce everything, and it's different from one man or one woman to the next. So everybody's not going to be the same way, point blank period. This is why people that's calling others to certain things have to have some flexibility. This is one thing I've learned over being favored to become older. I'm not as rigid as I used to be, because I used to be a very rigid type of person. And I'm not saying being flexible with certain kind of issues, I'm just saying, like, you just have to understand what I'm saying, try to understand what I'm saying, I'm not as rigid as I used to be, but I don't condone, no type of really, I'm still traditional in most ways, I ain't down with no type of foolishness, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm a little bit more flexible with a lot of things. Kind of ready to talk about something else, but I forgot. But yeah, we have to be, and we have to have wisdom when we talking and calling people to things. you know what I mean, to whatever it is that we, you know, that we're trying to call somebody to, because, you know, we got a lot of information floating around out here. And there's not one, a lot of us are wrong and right at the same time with a lot of things, you know, and even some of us are just plain flat out right. And some of us are right and wrong, because sometimes, you know, us not being as learned about certain things as we are going to eventually be, how we are, let's say, giving it up to other people may not be as right and exact as it's eventually going to be. But I would have to say that